Everyone was told not to touch this cat, and when one man didn't listen, it changed his life forever. It's not uncommon to see stray cats on the streets. Some are born out in the wild, some are abandoned by owners who couldn't or didn't want to care for them any longer. Most stray cats look like your typical cat, just maybe a little bit dirtier. Well, there was one stray cat on the streets who looked a lot different than most. People called him Ugly because of his appearance. Well, Ugly spent most of his time around the same apartment complex. He had one eye, missing the same ear on that side, his tail was gone, and he had nothing left there but a stump. One of his feet was deformed. It looked as though he had broken his foot at one point and it never healed properly. He was also covered with sores, which disguised his tabby fur. When people saw Ugly, they commented on how ugly he was. Children were told not to touch Ugly, and adults often threw rocks at the cat or hosed him down if he tried to enter their homes. The cat didn't care when people did these things, though. He'd allow people to keep their hose on him until they gave up. If someone threw something at Ugly, he'd wrap his feet around their feet to beg for forgiveness. Ugly didn't seem to mind that his life was very difficult. He liked to eat garbage, and if he needed to, he would fight. One day a man was outside when he saw a few huskies around the neighborhood, and when they saw Ugly, they attacked him. The man was in his apartment when he heard the fight, and he ran down to try and help Ugly. Sadly, when he got there, Ugly was seriously injured. Everyone was told not to touch this cat, but then this man did, and it changed his life forever. We'll tell you how in just a moment. The man quickly took Ugly up to his apartment, hoping that he could save this injured cat's life. The man carried him up the stairs, worried that he might hurt him even worse by carrying him into the house. As the man carried Ugly, he could hear the poor little creature gasping for air. Next, he felt Ugly trying to tug on his ear. Even though Ugly was dying and gasping for air, he was trying to show the man some affection. As the man pulled Ugly closer, the cat turned his eye toward him, and Ugly began to purr. The man says that at that moment he realized Ugly was the most beautiful cat in the world because he was beautiful on the inside. Even though he was in pain and covered in wounds, he just wanted to show affection. Ugly was scared, but he never tried to scratch or bite the man. The man felt that Ugly was just trying to show him a little bit of life in his last moments. The man says that he felt horrible because Ugly wanted him to take the pain away, but he was unable to do so. It wasn't long before Ugly took his last breath in the man's arms and died. After Ugly took that last breath, the man held him in his arms for quite a while. He looked down at this lifeless cat, thinking about how horrible his life was. He lived on the streets, never saw love, never saw compassion. A life like this cat had would break most creatures, making them as horrible on the inside as they looked on the outside. But that wasn't the case with Ugly. Ugly had love and compassion for just about everyone, even though they treated him horribly. When this man talks about Ugly today, he says the cat taught him more about kindness and compassion than he could ever learn by reading, listening to lectures, or watching TV specials. He says that being there for this cat in its final moments had changed him forever. He says Ugly was only scarred on the outside, but the man felt that he was scarred on the inside. He says a lot of people wish that they were rich, that they'd be more successful or more beautiful. The man didn't want any of those things anymore. All he wanted was to be more like Ugly. The man says that meeting this cat for just a few moments changed his life, and it changed his entire outlook on the world. Rest in peace, Ugly.